Hey everyone, I wanted to talk to you today about your Life of Pi paper. We're not going to be dealing with the paper for many weeks, but you are going to be starting to read your book. And as you read your book, you want to be identifying quotes. Well, it's hard to identify quotes if you don't know what the topic of the quotes should be. So to that end, for each of the three novels that you have to choose from, I'm going to be giving you the topics ahead of time that you'll be researching so that as you're reading the book and answering questions in your reading guides, you can be thinking about what possible topic might I want to research and what quotes should I pick. So that'll help you as you read to be thinking about what you're writing about, and it'll be helping you to kind of guide what quotes you should pull from. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to start with Life of Pi. And so anyway, here we go. And as you can see, if you're looking at your own document, there's many, I believe there's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 10 topics. So the first one is talking about the island. Now, a lot of scholars believe that the island that Pi encounters while he's adrift at sea is an allegory for some bigger message. Now, an allegory is when a story takes on some sort of extended metaphor where everything in that particular spot in the story or everything in the story as a whole represents something else. Like, for example, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Everything in that story is an allegory or represents something about Christianity. The Wizard of Oz is an allegory for American politics, and so on and so forth. Okay, so my question to you is, what does the island represent? Okay, think about it in terms of metaphors. The next one says there are many instances in this novel in which Pi compares humans to animals. There's a lot of examples, not just when Pi is on the boat, but also when he's working with his father at the zoo and all of that stuff, and he's trying to find his own way religiously and faith-wise. So there's a lot of that where animals are used to make a larger point, a metaphor about life or something like that. So talk to me about the animals, and you can divide that up where you have different paragraphs for different animals or different paragraphs for different sections of the book. Like, here's a paragraph where we talk about the animals from the zoo. Here's a paragraph where we talk about the animals from the island. Here's a paragraph when we talk about the animals on the boat, and so on and so forth. The next one is mentioning this term that you may or may not be familiar with. The bildungsroman is basically a coming-of-age story. So Life of Pi, like many other novels that deal with young characters, is a coming-of-age story. So talk to me about how, throughout the course of the book, Pi grows from a boy to a man. Not physically, obviously we can see his age progression, but spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, how does he grow from a boy into a man? Walk us through that progression. And again, you can divide your paper up into sections where you talk about him as a boy, him as a teen, him as a man, or you could talk like a paragraph about his mental state, a paragraph about his emotional state, a paragraph about his, psychological state, or whatever. Okay, this next one. The interesting thing about Life of Pi that makes it kind of confusing for some people is that there are different voices in the story. So you have the author, Jan Martel. The author is giving you his own impression of what he thinks about life and about religion and about philosophy and about all of these different things. He also has in his story a narrator. And that narrator is, as you read, you'll find that this narrator is not Pi himself. This narrator is somebody who is telling Pi's story. This is a journalist. So you have the author's perspective, you have the narrator or journalist's perspective, and then when the story focuses on Pi, you have Pi's perspective. So talk to me about those differences in the different characters, in their different personalities, their different expectations, their different beliefs, things like that. And again, you could structure up your paper to where you have different paragraph for different character, whatever. This next one talks about religion. There are 3 main religions that Pi follows. And so you can identify his use of the different religions and do this choice. If you want to do this topic, you could do some outside research on some of the basic tenets of these 3 religions that he follows. And then talk about how he encapsulates those beliefs in different parts of the book. So you could have a paragraph about this religion, a paragraph about this religion, a paragraph about this religion. Okay, this next one talks about the basic hero's journey. There's a multi-step hero's journey by Joseph Campbell, and there are many, many examples of this in literature. Heck, for example, Star Wars is a classic example of the hero's journey. And there's a multi-step process, somewhere between 6 and 12 steps. I don't remember off the top of my head. But talk to me about those steps and how Pi goes through each of those parts throughout the book. And you can organize your paper that way, where the first paragraph is about the first couple of steps, and then the next paragraph about the next couple of steps, and so on and so forth. Okay. This next one, it's a bit outside the box, but you might find it interesting. Talk about the belief in God and the belief in the power of storytelling, both of which are paralleled in this book. So the author, Jan Martel, uses Pi's belief in God, or many gods, as a connection or a parallel to Jan Martel's belief that stories in and of themselves are extremely important as well and have a lot of power themselves. I mean, heck, every religious text relies on stories. If you want to talk about like Christianity, for example, how many times did Jesus tell a parable or tell a story? Or how many different stories are found throughout the Bible that bring up different things that Jesus or whoever said those stories wanted to illustrate? What was the point behind Jonah and the whale? What was the point of Noah's Ark? So on and so forth. So that's an interesting topic. The next one is focusing on 2 specific chapters that the author himself has said are the most important 2 chapters in the entire novel. Now, when the author of the novel says, hey, pay attention to this right here, maybe you should pay attention to that right there. Just saying. So the author says chapters 21 and 22 are the most important chapters in the entire book. Why? Talk to me about why. What makes those chapters so important? You tell me. Okay. Then the next prompt is about a journey, about how you can view this story as a physical journey, like the hero's journey, or you can view it as an emotional journey, or as a spiritual journey. It could be taken a lot of different ways. So you could have a paragraph where you talk about the physical journey, then have another paragraph about the spiritual journey and talk about the parallels between them. And then you could have another paragraph where you talk about the mental journey and talk about the parallels between that and the spiritual and physical. And then the last prompt talks about the relationship between Pi and Richard Parker. Okay, so talk to me about their relationship. Their relationship is fundamental to the core of this book. So it's an incredibly important relationship, and talk to me about it. And focus specifically on chapters 57 and 86. Now, it should be noted, and I should have said this in my synopsis video, but I forgot to. I know that there is a movie version of this book. I've seen it. I own it. I love it. I know a lot about it. You should know that watching the movie is great to help you understand, but I want to see quotes from the book. And I'm very familiar with the movie. So when it comes time for your reading guide and your test and all that, you should know that my questions are specific about things that are found in the book and not necessarily in the movie. So what I'm saying is don't rely on just the movie to get yourself a good grade. Okay, read the book. It's a good book.